You may have heard me talk about SMU's secondary on Tuesday. You also may have heard Grayson Singleton, the host of Locked On SMU here on the Locked On Podcast Network, talk about the SMU secondary. And to put it very nicely, because I'm feeling nice, I'm in a good mood here on Locked On Syracuse, okay? I'm in a great mood. I mean, why not? It's a beautiful Thursday. Why not be in a great mood before Syracuse takes on SMU? So I'll be nice to SMU secondary, okay? They're not very good. Okay, they're not very good. That is me being nice. And it's one thing for me as the host of Locked On Syracuse saying that, because at the end of the day, my job is to follow Syracuse. So I'm watching every single second of the Syracuse game. Sometimes that means I cannot always check out what's going on with SMU, especially if they're playing at the same time or they're playing while I'm recording a podcast. So it's not easy to always catch every single SMU game. Well, guess what? That's why we have on Grayson Singleton on yesterday's crossover show, because he can give us that bigger or that better perspective of SMU. So take his word for it when he says that this SMU secondary is not very good and that SMU has been making a ton of adjustments and none of them seem to be working. Take his word for it that this SMU secondary is not very good, because Grayson, he is an expert, all things SMU. Trust me, this SMU secondary, not very good. The stats, they tell you exactly what it is, okay? The stats are not lying here with SMU's passing defense. It is the worst pass defense in the ACC, and it's not particularly close. Not close at all. They allow 334.5 pass yards allowed per game. Stanford is second last. They allow 315 yards per game through the air. And then Syracuse, they're third last in pass defense. Not very good for Syracuse, but that's 290.6 per game. So it's not close. They are so bad in that secondary defending the pass. But here's the catch with SMU. We actually talked about it a little bit on Tuesday, that they are pretty opportunistic. They will force turnovers. They have forced, I believe, 9 turnovers in their 4 games this season. So they're opportunistic. They will get their hands on the football, this defense, and they do stop the run. But really the catch is that SMU through 4 games has 11 sacks. So they have a very good pass rush down there at SMU. So what's the key? How can Syracuse get the passing game going? How can they? What do you think I'm going to say? Comment your thoughts in the comment section below here. The offensive line for Syracuse, they must be able to hold up in pass protection. And I've said this so many times, they don't have to hold up for 4 to 5 seconds. I'm not asking that from Syracuse. I'm not asking them to be the Great Wall of Dallas here. Can you hold up in pass protection for 2.5 seconds? That's it. 2.5 seconds. Slow down that SMU pass rush enough, and then it's on Rickie Collins to deliver on-time, accurate balls. That is the key then for Rickie Collins, because if the offensive line for Syracuse can hold up in pass protection and Rickie Collins can deliver on-time and accurate balls, if he can get it to the receivers, well, guess what? I would expect that Syracuse's receivers are going to find themselves pretty open throughout the afternoon and into the evening down there over at SMU. I would expect big days from Johntay Cook and Justus Ross-Simmons. Hopefully, Syracuse can also get Dan Villari more involved this week than he was last week against Duke. He only had 2 catches for 10 yards. So really, if you are Syracuse, this is setting up to a game where it could very easily be a shootout. And if we're being honest, that is the best case scenario for Syracuse. That is their best possible path to an upset. Get into a shootout. If you can get the offense going, take advantage of that poor secondary, you have a shot, right? Again, am I being nuts? Am I? Maybe I am, because until they can prove it with Rickie Collins, we don't know for sure. And last week against Duke was not exactly a big confidence booster heading into this one. But again, Best case scenario for Syracuse to pull off an upset here is to get themselves in a shootout with SMU, because we'll talk about it in the next segment here, how, yeah, we would love to see Syracuse stop the run. That's probably not going to happen. Okay? Just being honest. Get yourself in a shootout by getting that passing game going against that weak SMU secondary. That's Syracuse's path to an upset. And of course, on top of, just surviving the first quarter.